Simmons. Nelson.
Here.
Griggs. Here. Blackman. Here. Paredes. Huckabee.
Here.
Forth.
Here, and we have a phone, absolutely. He is coming, he will be a little bit late. So the first, I don't know if we have any audience comments. No? Okay, so no audience comments. That's okay. We will move to item number 3, which is recognition of our fabulous Dr. Sherry Petrovitz, our principal over at Serena Hills, Dr. Smith.
Just want to take a brief moment to recognize Dr. Sherry Petrovitz on her completion of her doctoral degree this summer on July 12th. It's certainly a huge accomplishment, preceded by a ton of work and lost sleep. We're all very proud of Dr. Petrovitz for impressive accomplishment, and we are thrilled and lucky to have her as a leader in this school district. So Sherry, congratulations.
Thank you.
Flowers is a very small gesture, but congratulations.
Thank you all so much. Okay, we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the superintendent's report.
A lot going on as we get ready for the start of the school year, but today's the last day for student registration this afternoon. Really want to thank all of the staff members who've worked so hard this summer, not only on the scheduled registration days, but also the impromptu meetings, just the pop-in visits from our families, needing additional advice, needing just someone to listen to the issues and make sure that their children are ready to get started later this month. We were able to serve a number of families, certainly over the last week. As our numbers are finalized, we'll shoot those out to the board. Right now, as a brief estimate, each building is within about 20 students of their 2016 and 2017 numbers, so our estimates are fairly close. Last week, Scott Stashik, the school principals, and I have been touring all the buildings to review the work that's been completed this summer and verify that everything is ready for the start of school. Thanks to the principals for taking that time out of their days. We do have one building left, but it's very important that the parents see the school that is ready, that the teachers have everything that they need, and certainly our principals are working hard to make sure that that is happening. Kudos to our custodians and our cleaning staff, and certainly to the whole between the waxing, the moving, re-waxing, and re-cleaning. Certainly a lot of effort has gone into that, but it certainly is not going unnoticed. Preparations continue for the upcoming Institute Days on August 21st, 22nd, and 23rd next week. On the 21st, the whole staff will begin together at Parker Junior High for an opening activity, some district-wide training on the evaluation process before returning to their schools. On Tuesday, the 22nd, staff members will focus on various professional development activities, from preparing to teach our new math curriculum to focusing on the next generation science standards and seemingly everything in between. Then finally, on Wednesday, the 23rd, staff members will be building-based. They will focus on activities, getting ready for that first day of school on Thursday, the 24th. That leads up to our meet and greet, which is this Friday. It's at 6 p.m. at Flossmoor Park. Hopefully everyone can come out and join us. It's just before the Movie at the Park activity, and we are thrilled. It's a great example of the ways that we can collaborate with our local governments for the benefit of our community. District 161 will have a tent and treats from Zarlinos to distribute to whoever stops by, so hopefully everyone will be able to join us, whether you have children or you don't have children in the district. It's an opportunity just to come out to have some camaraderie in our community. And the movie begins at 7:45, so we'll probably stop shortly before that, make some introductions, and welcome everyone to really start the school. That's it, my report.
Are there any questions or comments? Just a couple, Dr. Smith. You first talked about where we are in registration. Can you repeat that? Like, where are we in terms of closing the gap that I know we had a few weeks ago in terms of the number of students and families who still had not registered?
We'll probably, let's see, probably a couple of weeks ago, we were somewhere in the 400 student range. Right now, when you talk about existing students, being those who were here in 2016, 17, who did not graduate out, we're probably within 30. So we do have some new students who have filled those gaps. So I feel like we should probably land pretty close to our 2016, 17 totals, if not adding just a few.
And I just want to commend Mr. Hunter and his staff. We did, I picked up my son's schedule, and I know that was not the most ideal situation or environment. You know, it was in the library because the gyms were still closed. And so I saw you in there. You were in there as long as I was in there, standing in line, meeting and greeting. I mean, so I just want to say, I mean, I think the process went as smoothly as it could, and I just want to thank you for being there, you and both of your APs. I saw you both hard at work, so thank you for that. Any other questions, comments, or just one other comment? Can you talk about the chalk the wall?
Yes, oh, absolutely. So, had an opportunity to work with Mrs. Beckus, who is a former intern, but certainly someone who is committed to our school district, just in a really neat activity to generate a little community awareness and some fun, and really an opportunity to wish all of our kids a fun back to school. So we had chalk at all of our buildings, and we're inviting parents and students and community members with and without students to write a note, a positive note. Welcome to the school year, have an awesome day, go team, whatever you want to write, however. We'll also make sure that all those messages and pictures, et cetera, are appropriate. But it's really just an opportunity to have a really positive, community-focused kickoff to the school year. We really want to make sure that it's positive, that there's a lot of momentum and excitement coming out of it. And as I said, chalk will be at the buildings. We're looking at the 23rd. Writing those messages next Wednesday, so hopefully no rain the day before school, so those messages can last through the night, and we'll have a positive thing.
And I know the Village of Flossmoor has posted it on their site, and they will also be passing out chalk on Friday.
Yes, so we
Fabulous idea.
will send a number of tubs of chalk to the buildings, but I know the village also has a lot more that they want to hand out, so everyone should be able to get a piece. Send a nice message.
Are you notifying parents? And this is the first that I've heard about it. I think it's a great idea.
You know, I just saw it on the Village's, they did a release only just a few hours ago. So I saw it and, did a round disbursement, but we should definitely.
By tomorrow,
get it.
Oh,
absolutely.
good.
It's a great idea. We will move to agenda item number 5, which is consent agenda items. Approval of consent agenda items listed below, which includes minutes of regular Board of Ed meetings July 10th, and Community Engagement Committee meeting, which met on July 13th. Other items include appointment of independent hearing officers, approval of payroll, approval of resolution regarding hazardous bus routes, scope membership, and approval of personnel report. Have a motion to approve the consent agenda items as listed. So moved. Second. And Ms. Huckabee, second.
I ask that we remove the personnel report from this and discuss it in closed session before approval.
Absolutely.
And one other question. Have we always done payroll as a function of the consent agenda? It feels like there used to be a separate line item given financial implications, but I could be
I think that we did it as a separate thing. And I think with the, just with the understanding that you can look at it, and if you have a question, if you want to pull it out, we can certainly do so. But, again, that might be like the bills, where we've always gone through and made sure that we treat it as a separate item. Maybe that's something that should be pulled out as a matter of practice, because as you said, it is about a large sum of money.
I'd be fine with, I think we had this discussion at the last meeting because they were both lumped in as consent agenda items, so we pulled out bills, but somehow we left in personnel, so I'd be fine pulling out both of those.
And payroll.
Payroll.
Right. I don't know if anybody else has strong feelings one way or the other.
Should we, just as a practice, anything where we are paying out money, we should just pull out separately, or?
Especially considerable amounts,
Yeah.
in the hundreds of thousands or millions, depending on the time of year. Dr. Smith, do you have any thoughts one way or the other?
I can absolutely support it. It's not a typical practice to pull payroll out on consent for the bills. I can absolutely do that.
And maybe next time through, we have those as separate line items outside of the consent agenda. I don't want to labor it, but I don't think it will add that much efficiency to the process. Because payroll especially is usually a pretty cut and dry labor.
But for tonight, you would like it pulled out and discussed, okay?
So I'm fine with payroll staying in the consent agenda, but personnel I'd like pulled out so we can discuss in the closed session.
Okay, so we are going to pull out the personnel report, and so I would need a motion to approve the consent agenda as items listed with the exclusion of the approval of payroll.
So moved.
Second. I'm sorry, approval of the personnel report, A through F. Approval of payroll will stay in today. Sorry.
Okay, so moved.
So moved. Second, Ms. Huckabee. Kathy, roll call.
Okay, Simmons,
Yes.
Griggs,
Yes.
Huckabee,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Blackman,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Ford.
Yes. Motion is approved. Next item on the agenda are committee reports. I don't think we have the speed report, okay? Do you have an idea of when we can expect?
Speed report was given at the last meeting that Dr. Hopkinson, and there's only been one other meeting, so nothing has changed significantly. So probably I would say towards, school starts August, maybe October, probably would be good.
Okay. Thank you. Next committee report will be the Community Engagement Committee. Mr. Paredes?
Yes. So our community engagement committee met on July 13th. It was Dr. Griggs, Mrs. Horth, myself, and Dr. Smith. And the committee discussed how to best support the administration and community engagement in this district. Committee members discussed why community engagement is important for the success of our district. While all members agreed on the importance of improved community engagement, our district needs to clarify to what ends community engagement will serve and to what a successful community engagement program will look like. We agreed that we would meet with Jody Bryant at Homewood Fosco High School, and through her advice and her scope, working at HF, she did offer us some ideas about how to get started with this. We did so on August 7th, and it was Dr. Griggs, myself, and Dr. Smith who met with Jody Bryant. I will say that Jody Bryant is just really a terrific asset to this community. She has worked with us on a number of other committees, and without any inconsistency, she really offered a tremendous amount of really great advice for us. She had gone through here, I actually have bullet points to go through, but she had given us a bunch of materials to look at. So these are two that have just come. If you want to pass those down. I think these are great examples of the high quality work that's coming from her 7 years with the high school. She walked us through a process of improving community engagement for the last 7 years. And again, there's a lot of information for both families and children in our district, as well as community members who did not have children enrolled in our district that need to be streamlined into one voice. And that over the course of 7 years, the district upgraded and consolidated the majority of its outgoing messages to create greater clarity and accuracy and continuity for relevant information to the stakeholders in our district, in the HF district. Ms. Frank walked our committee through a list of the communication tools to which I passed down the way, which include publications such as the Viking Communication newsletter, which is a quarterly, Viking Voice newsletter, which is bi-monthly, and the HF FYI e-newsletter, which comes out weekly, and electronic communications such as the district website, social media outlets. She said that she will send us a breakdown of costs for each publication. I have yet to follow up with that, but she was very forthcoming with really any help that we could use. Her suggestions that we start with an audit and really look to see, what we're doing currently, and that to this point, Dr. Smith had commented that we should have a clear idea of what we want to achieve and have a clear function for each, as it will take away time and resources from staff. And this is certainly a consideration that as we move forward, we don't want to undermine the success, the momentum that we're having in our priorities, but at the same time, really blend these into what we're already doing. So we're not adding to a work list, but really we're just, tagging things along in a way that continues with the progress that we're already making. She suggested that we consider joining INSPRA, which is an organization that provides a source of connection, collaboration, and professional development for schools and communicators. The cost is about $90 for an individual if one of us were to be the point person, or a district membership of $250, where up to 3 people in the district would speak to them. But really for the cost, they offer a tremendous amount of resources for a district to use to see that we're on point. I made some other notes here that I won't go through painfully, and since I did already put them onto board docs, certainly we can look at them. But the takeaways that I got from this were that really we need to identify our needs and purpose and decide what resources we can allocate, what time period, what our objectives and priorities. Certainly we should, in her opinion, join INSPRA for the price. It's certainly worth it. And we want to make sure that we're creating a solid framework for clear, consistent, two-way communication with our community. We should know what we need to speak to our community with one voice, one thought-out brand, and we need to create opportunities to engage the community as well. We should investigate how we want our brand to look. So the issue of F for Flossmoor came up, and that's something we may want to consider moving forward. And we need to focus on the students. This is a big issue. A big point that she made was that in looking at the communications that they had 7 years ago at HF, there was a lot of great content. There's a lot of, you can see, adults were really doing their job. They were putting a lot into this. However, she really, pointed out that it needs to be about the children. And so, in using this as an example, the communications really shifted from adult success to really a success of the kids. And that at the end of the day, it should be really focused around the children. To which point she illustrated that their website is constantly refreshing images of kids doing things, constantly refreshing activities that kids are involved with, and I think that's something we really need to consider here. To what degree, visually, are we creating an environment by it's about the kids? To what degree we have fresh images of our children engaging in these great activities? Because at the end of the day, from a marketing standpoint, if we want people to move here and invest in our community, it's about the children. And there has to be, marketing says and advertising says that really children are what sell safety. It's what says the message of success when you see our fantastic kids doing these incredible things. And that's something that we can't lose. So maybe we need to critically look at and see how we can really make this more of a visually a child-centered communication program as opposed to one that's a little bit more sterile, that in our adult minds we just really tend to focus on the content.
Dr. Griggs, anything else?
No, that was a good summary.
So, Steve, what do you need from the board to keep moving the discussion along? Is there a recommendation that the committee is making in terms of next steps? Is there a discussion that we need to have about the next steps or any of the bullet items that you have?
Well, sure.
How would you like to spend the next few minutes within the board's time?
Well, I think we need to agree that the committee should meet again, and certainly, we should go through an audit process by looking at what we're doing and finding out, critically what's effective, what we think could really be improved upon, and really look at, is the vision that we're projecting to the community, is it child-centered, or is it, and I love all of the adult accomplishments here, I really do. But is it more focused on what the talented adults are doing as opposed to the talented kids? Certainly, I think we should join Inspire. I think it's worth a moment. And I think that we're going to have to meet again to work with the superintendent to really shape what our communication tool is going to look like.
And I'm assuming there still needs to be more discussion about
Absolutely.
the what.
Right.
Are we talking better communication? Are we talking more marketing? Is it a balance of both?
Well, I think it is a balance of both. One of the things that they made clear to the leadership course I went to a few years ago was that PR is different from community engagement. Community engagement is a larger umbrella by which the PR is really the voice for which you're speaking out. So we need that two-way communication. But even in the voice, the clear voice which we're speaking, we need to have an idea of what that's going to look like and how that might be shaped over the next couple of years. The point that Judy Bryant had made was that they've gotten far now, 7 years later, but it can't happen all in one night. We have to decide how these fit into our existing priorities, and then how we can prioritize things that will give us the biggest bang for our buck, and really help us to move forward. So next step, I think, is going to be, next step we have to do a self-audit and critically look at, what's our existing program.
You have suggestions on how the audit will be performed?
I think that that's something the administration and the committee can work on together, certainly in a meeting, so we can address some short-term and long-term needs, and come up with some sort of timeframes about by which we can do things, what's feasible. 2 years ago, the the village was going through a makeover, and they had, come to us to say, would you like to be part of this? We can kind of split costs. They have a firm coming in. We chose not to do that, which is fine. They were kind of going in a different direction than we were all agreed to. But also the idea of the F came up again, which is kind of this ongoing discussion. I personally have made this point for years, that if we're a school district, we have to do better than an F to represent our school. It's just, the irony is too clear. And that, I'm not a huge fan of the Halloween colors for the district colors.
You don't like my orange?
I love orange, I love black. Orange and black together once a year is enough for me. Or if I'm going to Princeton, I think that would be fine too. But, again, these are considerations that we would have to walk into as opposed to run into. And I think that the price tag years ago to change everything was something in the neighborhood of $25,000. The total cost that I've kind of added up in my head as we're going through the list of all the really great things that the district was doing was a lot higher than we are spending right now. So this would have to be a budgetary concern as well. So
How much is the
they're up in the, I think,
Which part? I think it's,
Well,
On my thing?
in general, right, we have, it's aside from the personnel piece, how much is, what,
so not taking the personnel piece out,
yeah.
it was around $30,000 just for their
Just for like outside vendors and everything.
renting. You've got
What about, then what is the personnel piece of that? Is it just Jody or she have help?
she has help, but she has one other person.
She has other tasks, that's right.
She does. She's also the HR person. She's the director of HR. So, but even her assistant, this is the point they also brought up. When they hired her assistant, Nicole, they were really looking for somebody with a journalism background who could work in design, who also knew school. So they're really, it wasn't a case of hiring an assistant and saying, okay, read the manual on, Adobe Go Live or Flipart come up with something. Because previously they did have Flipart heavy publications, and they really wanted to be a little bit more.
How involved are the students in any of this?
Well, the students are actually, as you mentioned, the students are getting more and more involved. As a matter of fact, their next step is to put a lot of student videos onto their website so that you can really see the school from the student's point of view, which I think is a really fantastic idea. But that, certainly that's something that you have to, get to. I wouldn't say let's do that tomorrow.
Do they also have a photographer on staff?
That's the other thing. They don't have a staff member who does that. They hired an outside company, VIP, specifically to take pictures at the event. So, as a commercial photographer, I couldn't help but notice, wow, their pictures are really good for all their publications. They're not haphazard pictures that a teacher takes while trying to manage a class. That's a professional photographer going to events, taking snapshots of kids during the passing period is an ongoing process. That's, again, that would be a budgetary consideration in the future. I don't think we have to do that now, but certainly I think that it offers a perspective on the importance of the visual image for our kids.
We do appreciate your pictures though, Scott, on your
We do. I love them. They're
We
fantastic.
do appreciate, I never really get to see them, but I do take them.
Scott is the iPhone 7 to be better actually.
Okay, so it sounds like the first order of business is getting another meeting scheduled on the calendar and then having a discussion about doing the audit, maybe come with ideas on how to do this audit and what would be efficient, but not take the whole school year. I actually don't think it would probably take very long anyway.
Yeah, I don't think we're doing enough where it would grind everything to a halt. I think that we could, look at a list of things that we are currently doing and then go through and decide to what degree we think are effective and where we can improve. And really what would be, give us our most bang for our buck now, and then in 6 months, and then in a year, you know, with quarterly, we're doing a quarterly publication for years, you know, is that something that will continue? How will that look? You know, is there any great consistency? These are all just kind of questions that have come up in the last year in that. Is, you know, the person that is assigned to it, is that person overburdened with other duties so that they, maybe it would be a group, maybe it would be a specific assignment, you know.
And then I would suggest, if I may, to have a goal in that next meeting, to leave that meeting with some very clear ideas or definitions around, is the purpose, is the goal for the committee to help support the district in thinking about a communication strategy or marketing strategy, and how does that all fall under the community engagement umbrella? You know, just put some more clarity around what is the community engagement committee, and what are you really trying to get out of it. That would also help when, you know, halfway into the school year, when we have a discussion to assess the committee, the idea of committees. I want to be able to, I think it would be very helpful if we can start now and thinking about how do we create parameters and meet around these committees. You don't want to have a committee, just have a committee, obviously. So, but this one's so very specific to goals that not only the district will have, but it ties into our strategic plan, it'll tie into your goals and everybody's goals. I mean, so we need to get some meat around or more clarity around what's the goal of the community engagement committee. Right. Good. Any other questions?
I just have a quick comment. Did anything come up about, when I was listening to, of how, maybe the ideas of how to engage our parents, and maybe they're more involved, moving out to meetings, and did anything come up to help with that piece as yet, or still progress and work?
You know what, we didn't really talk, I think we veered by it at some point. But really, originally was scheduled to be an hour, turned into an hour meeting. We've got so much information, and, you know, we had to go to our next tasks on our list, so we didn't quite have a chance to get to it. But you said to certainly be a resource for us moving forward, that whatever she could help, she certainly would pitch in.
Any other questions? Very much. Let us know in the next meeting.
Will do.
We'll be scheduled for, because it is obviously subject to the Open Meeting Act, and we want to make sure it's at a time that anyone from the community who wants to sit and spend an hour or two, well, that's more than welcome.
Absolutely, and certainly moving forward, you know, we hope to have more input.
Yes, actually, I mean, I think there are a lot of parents who have expressed interest. I think the parent who brought the chalk walk idea is certainly a great example of a parent who's very eager to become engaged. And so in this equation, we have to figure out, you know, how do we engage parents? To Ms. Huckabee's point, how do we engage parents more, and what does that mean? And we don't want to undermine what superintendent's doing, what the school district is doing. And so what this is should be to support what you guys are doing.
Okay. Next item number 7, action items and some informational items. Approval of the bills. The bills were submitted for approval by the Board of Ed each month, or they are submitted for approval by the Board of Ed each month. For this current set of bills, Mr. Paredes had the opportunity to review the bills prior to the meeting.
Yes, and having examined the bills for this month thoroughly, I will call for a motion to approve the bills in the amount of $1,311,704.62. Amount proposed.
Second.
I'm sorry, it's a second, you're first.
Oh, second.
Okay, Dr. Curtis. Kathy?
Wait, I'm sorry. Mr. Graves made the motion, or,
Mr. Paredes made a motion.
okay, who seconded it?
Ms.
Okay.
Huckabee, sorry.
Okay.
We didn't need your vote.
Sorry.
Any discussion?
It's a quick question.
Yes.
So the life safety piece is separate from the building fund because it has its own category fund, just for clarification.
Couple of things. Number one, in order to be paid out of life safety, it has to be on the 10-year life safety survey. It has to be identified and reported to the State Board of Education as a life safety item. So you just can't spend out of the 90 fund. So it is slightly different. We do levy 2 cents for it to pay for when those surveys come every 10 years, make sure we have some funds to do some repairs. So we are using what funds we could have in the life safety fund to help protect children.
I had a question. So we paid $1,600 to each house for graduation. Is that normal? It seems like taxpayers are paying anyways. Is that $1,600 reflect, additional security costs or something they incurred?
It's for them to have their custodial staff on board and for security and so on using it's more for the people that they have to pay to be there while we're using the facility.
Any other questions? Comments?
Roll call, Kathy?
Okay, Simmons,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Griggs,
Yes.
Blackman,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Huckabee,
Yes.
Ford.
Yes. Motion is approved. Next item, updated prevailing wage. This is an action item. Can I please have a motion to approve the updated prevailing wage rate resolution?
So moved.
Ms. Huckabee. Second. And Dr. Griggs. Any discussion, questions?
Roll call, please.
Okay, Griggs,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Huckabee,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Simmons,
No.
Blackman, Ford.
Yes, and the motion is passed. Next item on the agenda, school funding update. Ms. Lozella.
Well, in my 20-plus years, I've got to say, this is the craziest ride yet. And there's been some pretty crazy rides. Okay, so Senate Bill 1, make sure everybody's on board. The legislature passed the budget, but the only mechanism to fund schools in a general aid-like manner is an evidence-based model. And the only evidence-based model out there right now is Senate Bill 1. Senate Bill 1 had been held at the Senate. It was sent to the governor's desk, and he mandatorily vetoed it, sent it back. As of yesterday, the Senate has now overridden his veto, and it's back in the House. The House has 15 days to act on Senate Bill 1. If they override, they're going to need 71 votes, which the original Senate Bill 1 didn't pass by that many votes to begin with. So they're going to have to shake the trees and come up with some votes to override. If they can't override, or they let the 15 days expire, the bill dies. At that point, we have no funding mechanism for getting general state aid or evidence-based model, whatever you want to call it. So where we go from there, I'm not sure. Last week on the 10th was supposed to be the first general state aid payment. It, of course, was not made. The comptroller did, however, release the third quarter mandated categoricals from last year, so that at least some money flowed to the school districts, and we did receive a little over $500,000.
You were expecting that, right? You were expecting that third?
I was expecting, yes, because we knew now at least they had an appropriation for last year's money, and since they have some money coming in, we knew that they were going to try and get us some funds, and the comptroller did release the third quarter. Next payment for general state aid is supposed to be next week. No way that's going to happen. You're going to see there's a lot out there about what Senate Bill 1 the original was and what the mandatory veto is. To us, they're talking about, the districts would receive a lot more money. I will say that the original Senate Bill 1 and the amendatory VO bill is a difference of about $900,000 for this district. But it's, people will tell you, this is about the bigger picture and not looking at individual. I don't know where this is going, but it's going to be interesting. And that's pretty much all I can tell you. And I will say this, people have said, without that money, we could live without $5 million. We've got $29 million, $31 million. So, we're good. But, there's a lot of districts out there who can't.
So,
Time's up.
more likely than not enough votes in the House to override the veto, correct?
That's what I'm hearing right now.
And the $900,000 difference is in Rauner's version or the Senate version?
The increase would be in Rauner's version, which is already been overridden by the Senate. So that's kind of off the table, really.
Okay, so we have 90 days to most likely watch out for that. And then, so timing wise, right, so we can operate, so we're looking at end of August, right? Yeah, early September, and then maybe another month or two. I can't imagine it's, going to draw out till December, but all this really means is we won't have checks rolling in until, I don't know, October, November. We're operationally, we're fine until.
Operationally, we're fine. We just got our property tax money and we're fine.
Thank you.
I do have a question. So, okay. I know that we're okay, and then I know there was also a lot of chatter out about schools opening up on time. Is there any kind of contingency that we just want to operate as we operate? Or will there be following of what the major is going on, or are we just something day by day? We just don't know.
Well, I think we continue to share information. I think people will notice a difference in the product that we can provide for our students and families. But obviously, this is because of strong financial leadership up until this point. So, because of the tough decisions that have been made in the past, because of budget practices, and because of other fund balance initiatives, the Board of Education, previous administrations, we're in a position where you won't notice a difference.
So, we're gonna open up on time, and
Absolutely.
nothing is gonna come back later that should change.
There would not be a recommendation to pause anything.
Correct. Thank you.
If there aren't any more questions about regarding school funding update, we'll move on to item D, which is the strategic plan review.
So a really great conversation with Bob Madonia. Worked on the original strategic plan with the members, and obviously in your board packet I attached not only the brochure, but we'll call it the measurement vehicle for the strategic plan. And so really just wanted to have a conversation about where we want to go from here. With transitions last year, a formal assessment of the strategic plan was never delivered. So we really have two options. Do we want to go back, gather those artifacts and those documents and provide a rating essentially on the 2016-2017 action plans and the work that happened last year? Or do we want to pick up where we are currently